All right, today we're diving into a really powerful first-person account called The Testimony. It's all about this one single moment that just shatters a life. And it's about what happens when what you saw with your own two eyes totally clashes with the official story. It kind of forces you to ask a really tough question. What's the point of being a witness if the system just won't listen?
Wow, I watched it happen and did nothing. That's the voice of our narrator, Daniel Wright. He's a high school history teacher. And that one sentence, man, it's like the dividing line in his life. It's the moment he went from just a bystander to a witness. And it kicks off this whole search for accountability that, is going to change him forever.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're on an ordinary street corner. It's a Thursday afternoon, just seconds before everything is about to change. So in the middle of all this chaos, Daniel's mind just starts breaking it down, creating a timeline. It's 3:47 p.m. Marcus, who's just a kid in a red jacket, steps into the crosswalk. He's got the light. Then a police cruiser comes into view, and it's moving fast, but no lights, no siren. And then the impact. But what's really crucial here, what Daniel can't shake, is this noticeable delay before the brakes are even touched. 3 seconds. I mean, just think about that. 3 seconds. This number is everything. Daniel testifies that a full 3 seconds passed between the car hitting Marcus and the moment those brake lights finally flashed on. And for him, you see, this isn't just some minor detail. This is the whole case. It's the proof of inattention that, in his mind, transforms a tragic accident into a death that could have been prevented. And what happened after the crash is just as important as the crash itself. Daniel testifies that the officers, they get out of the car and just stand over Marcus. They don't kneel down, they don't check for a pulse, they don't immediately call for an ambulance. From where he's watching, their total lack of urgency in those critical moments, well, it was as damning as the crash itself. All right, so now the story moves. It shifts from the street to the very formal setting of an administrative inquest. Now, this isn't a criminal trial, you gotta understand. It's more of an internal hearing to figure out if department rules were followed. And this is where Daniel's testimony is about to go head-to-head with the official report. We're about to see two fundamentally different versions of the truth. And here it is. This is the core conflict laid out for everyone to see. On one side, you have Officer Brennan. He claims it was totally unavoidable, that Marcus darted out into the street while he was responding to a call. But then you have Daniel, who insists no, this was preventable. He says the officer was speeding without an emergency, and Marcus was clearly in the crosswalk. He had the right of way. I mean, it's the exact same moment, seen through two completely different lenses. So, after hearing all this conflicting testimony, the official investigation finally reaches its conclusion. This is the moment, right? The system investigating itself. And the official finding? Ruled an accident, no fault. The inquest completely clears the officers, saying they acted within policy. But then comes the part that just floors Daniel. The verdict actually finds that Marcus, the 12-year-old boy in the crosswalk, was partially responsible for his own death. So for Daniel, this isn't justice at all. He sees it as a textbook case of how power protects itself. See, the system didn't deny that something awful happened. No, what it did was it reframed the whole thing. It shifted the blame onto the victim in a way that protected its own from any real accountability. So the verdict is in. But for Daniel, the fight is really just beginning. He's learning a really hard lesson here. Sometimes your testimony, it's just not enough. And this feeling of injustice, it just triggers this profound transformation in him. Okay, so first he testifies, right? He puts his faith in the system. When that fails, he writes. He publishes his own account online just to get his truth out there. Then he actually resigns from his job as a teacher because how can he teach civics when he doesn't believe in it anymore? And finally, he becomes an organizer, joining Marcus's family to demand real systemic change. You see him evolve from just a passive witness to an active agent for that change. Then, 1 year later, get this. The officer who was driving the car that hit Marcus, he was promoted to sergeant. For Daniel, this isn't just a lack of accountability, it's the complete opposite. The system didn't just protect one of its own, it actually rewarded him. And so, Daniel's story, it doesn't really leave us with a clear victory, does it? But it does leave us with a really profound question. If witnessing something doesn't actually guarantee justice, then what's the point? What is its purpose? Maybe it's not always about winning. Maybe it's about creating a record, refusing to be silent, and just insisting that a life like Marcus's mattered. It's a question that really forces all of us to think about the price of silence.